Coffee Talk is sponsored by Blazing Bagels. You'll be a hit when you stop on your way to work to get a dozen for the office. Located on the corner of North Commerce and Wise Roads in Commerce Township, Blazing Bagels features New York-style bagels and always fresh coffee. Stop by for one of their bagel sandwiches at lunch with a steaming cup of coffee, cappuccino, or hot chocolate. Thanks to Matt and the staff at Blazing Bagels for supporting Coffee Talk on HVS TV.
Welcome to Coffee Talk. Our topic today is college planning. Today we're going to discuss the college timeline, choosing the right college, admissions criteria, paying for college, and parent tips. These are your counselors. This is Sean Doherty, Tamara DiCarlo, and Lynn Burton. And we're going to talk to you about those topics to help with your college planning. First, we're going to look at the college timeline. Today you should receive a college brochure. And these are also available online that you can get the college checklist and timeline. And in your brochure on page 12, we start with 9th grade. So looking at 9th grade in the college timeline, you want to make sure starting in 9th grade that your students are collecting a list of awards, honors, community service, and extracurricular activities. They also want to make sure they consider their schedule, that they're taking rigorous caseload coursework such as AP and honors courses, and they need to just work hard to keep their GPA up. Freshman year is used to calculate GPA, so students should be getting good grades. Then on to 10th grade, students will be taking the PLAN test, and the PLAN test is a practice ACT. This is a college entrance exam, so you want to make sure that students are taking this seriously. They also may qualify to take the PSAT in 10th grade, so look for those tests in 10th grade. Students can also attend a college fair to start to get ideas of colleges they could attend, and they should also be continuing to work on getting good grades and taking challenging coursework. Moving on to 11th grade, students are going to be taking the ACT in March, and then the PSAT is offered in October. So these are two tests to look for in 11th grade. Students should attend Lakeland's college visits in the fall, and these are set up by our career facilitator. Also, they can take a college tour on campuses. They can attend college nights in the fall and in the spring, research and start to narrow the college list. And then in the English course in 11th grade, students will be doing a personal essay, and this is actually the college essay that students can use in their fall senior application. And also just continuing to get good grades and take challenging classes. Finally, in 12th grade, students should attend our counselor senior presentation in the fall. We hand out a packet, go over everything that students need to know for senior year. They should also be starting their college application in the fall, and our deadline for that is Halloween is kind of how you remember to get those applications in. Also, some key dates, January 1st is when you can start filling out the FAFSA form. You should attend our financial aid workshop, and that is in January. Scholarships will be completed during this year, and local scholarships are in the spring. February and March is the deadline. And then also at the end, once the student has decided on a college, they need to notify their college by May 1st. So we hope these guidelines will help with your students' college process. And next we have Mrs. DiCarlo, who's going to talk about admission criteria and choosing the right college.
Thanks, Mrs. Lindberg. So when you're thinking about choosing the right college, the first thing you want to think about is location. So how far away from your current home do you want to be? Do you want to be able to have the option to drive home on the weekends? Or are you going to be in a place where the weather might be different? Some of our students go to the UP if they stay in state. There's a lot more snow. That's a place where you're going to need a vehicle to get to classes. So those are some things to consider when thinking about location. Size. How many students are in the school? So when I think about size, I think about the physical size of the campus. I think about the student body. I think about one of the bigger colleges in Michigan, which would be Michigan State University, which has over 20,000 students. And that's quite a bit for some people. The campus is enormous. And then I think about Central, and you can get that bigger campus feel, but it's not so big. So you need to decide what you like, and you'll figure all that out through college visits, which Mrs. Lindberg will go into later. The environment. So what type of school? So there are universities, and then there's two-year colleges. A two-year college is a great place for many students that want to save some money, they want to start there, and then later they want to go to the four-year university. And also, going on school setting, are you going to be in an urban area or a rural area? If you are in a rural area, you might want to think about how far is the closest town and how big is the town. So those are some things to consider. Also, some colleges are not co-ed, so it may be an all-female college or an all-male college. Is that for you? And there are private schools that have some religious affiliations. Admissions requirements. So deadline, that's a big one. Here at Lakeland, we would like our students to have their applications in no later than by Halloween. So October 31st is our deadline. What tests are required? So the ACT is mandatory for all Michigan schools. Some out-of-state schools accept the ACT, but some also require the ACT, so you're going to want to look at that. Also, average test scores, GPA, and rank. Those all are, huge parts in becoming accepted to a college or university. Now, looking at academics, let's think about the different majors offered. So you may or may not know what you're interested in going into, but if you have an idea, you need to look for colleges that offer that major. Also, are those majors that you're thinking about accredited? It's really, really nice when you end up in a program that's accredited. That means it's nationally recognized, and when you go to apply for a job, sometimes people in that field recognize that, and that gets some respect also. The student to faculty ratio. So how many students are there in a class and how many professors? Are the classes taught by professors? Are they taught by assistants? And basically, how many professors are there in a class? So if there's a couple hundred students, sometimes it's nice to have more than one professor, so you're getting more one-on-one attention. College expenses. Mr. Doherty is going to go into that a little bit more, but you're going to want to have an estimated total budget. So you're going to want to know what tuition is, what room and board is. Finally, housing. So is there a residence hall requirement? Are you required to stay in a residence hall for the first year? A lot of universities require that. If that's not for you, maybe you want to start out at that 2-year college and then transfer later. The food plan. Food is a huge deal. Eat the food when you go to a campus visit. And the facilities. What programs do they offer for academics, recreational? Is there a Greek life, clubs and organizations? Okay, so now we are going to talk about admission requirements. So colleges are going to be looking at your transcript, not only the GPA and your ACT score and your standardized test scores, but they're also going to be looking at the types of classes you have taken. They may want to know how many AP classes you've taken and how many honors classes you've taken. So it's really important that you challenge yourself and do your very best, not only grade-wise, but you're challenging yourself with rigorous courses. Also, extracurricular activities. So you're looking at extracurricular activities when you get into the university, but while you're in high school, you want to make sure that you're taking part in the extracurriculars or clubs and things like that. The more involved you are, the better that also is. Ms. Burton? Yeah.
Actually, Mr. Doherty.
Or Mr. Doherty.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about paying for college. So when you first think of paying for college, you're probably, what's running through your mind is, how am I going to afford this? $20,000, $30,000 a year to go to school for, maybe you have more than one student going to college at the same time. How am I going to pay for all that? And then on top of that, what if your student wants to go out of state or to a private college? Their tuition's even higher than a public university is in-state. So how are you going to pay for that? That's a great question. The one thing that I would caution you to do, don't eliminate any options just based on price, because there are so many different resources out there for you to be able to afford college. Some resources that you don't have to pay back, some that you do have to pay back, some for working. So I'm going to go into some of the different types of aid, and then go a little bit more in depth into some of them as well. So the different types of aid that are out there, there are grants, which are generally given based on financial need, and this is money that's received that you don't have to pay back later. There are also scholarships. These are given mostly for academic achievement, possibly athletic achievement, some form of achievement in high school going on into college. And again, this is money that you receive possibly over numerous years that you do not have to pay back later on after college is over. There's also work-study programs where you can work part-time for the college and earn, you know, a discount on your tuition or some money for room and board, things like that as well. And then there is student loans, which that's the one option where you do end up having to pay that back later. But usually those, if you go with federal loans, they're usually a pretty good interest rate, and a lot of times you don't have to pay those back until after you're done with college. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into all the different types because we could be here all day with that, but I am going to focus a little bit on scholarships because one of my job duties as a counselor in Lakeland High School is to collect all the scholarships, promote them to students, and nominate students for particular scholarships and such. So if you ever have questions on scholarships, please feel free to either call me, email me, or your student can sign up to see me about scholarship opportunities. For scholarships, there's a bunch of different types. There's merit-based scholarships, which are provided by the colleges that you've been accepted to. If you have a certain GPA, a certain ACT score, you may get money towards your tuition. They may pay all of your tuition for college over the course of many years. There are also private scholarships put on by corporations, organizations, clubs, businesses, where those scholarships are separate from the college that you're attending, but they still are, they're sometimes one-time payments, they're sometimes renewable for the 4 years that you're in college. So that's another different type of scholarship. We also receive a number of scholarships in the high school where we are allowed to nominate 1 or 2 students per year for an opportunity to compete for a scholarship. In that case, I generally go through a process with students who are interested, possibly an application, an interview, and we form a committee to narrow down who Lakeland High School is going to nominate for those scholarship awards. And then those students are also recognized at our honors program at the end of their senior year as well. There's also essay contests where you can earn scholarship money. And then the last one that I'm going to focus on is local scholarships. And those scholarships are specifically put out by Huron Valley businesses, Milford businesses, White Lake businesses. These businesses want to give back to the community, and they specifically focus those scholarships at Lakeland students. So students from Walled Lake, Novi, throughout Michigan and Florida, they can't apply for them. Only Lakeland students have an opportunity to apply for those scholarships. And we have generally around $20,000 that go to only Lakeland students. So that's another great way of getting scholarship money as well. The next type of aid that I want to focus a little bit more on is loans, and then the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Student loans are the form of financial aid that you do need to repay afterwards, but like I said before, generally the interest rate is pretty good, and it is deferred later on until after you're done with college if you go with the government loans. There are private loans available as well, but the majority of our students do fill out the FAFSA. It helps to determine what your financial need is for the college that you're going to be attending. Even if you don't think you need student loans, it is a good idea to fill out the FAFSA just because a lot of colleges require it, a lot of scholarship applications require it to help determine how much financial needs you have, and it usually is a requirement for many scholarship opportunities. Some other just general resources that we have around the school and in the community. Our Lakeland Counseling website is a great resource. We have a specific page dedicated to scholarships and financial aid, and on that page we have all of our local scholarship applications. We have links to all of the free scholarship search websites, links to Michigan government websites that have resources on financial aid, paying for college in Michigan. All of those great websites you can get to from our counseling office website. As mentioned before, in January every year we have a financial aid night either at Lakeland High School or Milford High School. Next year in January will be at Lakeland High School, and we have a representative from Baker College who comes in and goes a lot more in depth into those 4 different types of financial aid that we have available: grants, scholarships, work study, and loans, and really details what they're all about. And then the second half of the presentation, they actually go through filling out the FAFSA, and you can answer a lot of questions you have about it. Another event in February every year is called College Goal Sunday, and that's an event where they will actually have parents in, and you can actually fill out your FAFSA with them there. So it's a great way if you have questions to actually go there, get it done, and you're all set with that. And the other great resource for financial aid is the specific college that you're planning on attending. Going to their financial aid office, they will actually build a financial aid package for you with grant money, scholarships, work study, or loans for you to help make what seems to be an astronomical cost for attendance something that's much more manageable to do. And the last thing I'll say about paying for college and scholarships, financial aid, is just be aware of different websites that may be asking for money, trying to scam you out of a little bit of money to provide scholarship information or to help you apply for financial aid, because there are so many free sites out there. fastweb.com, meritaid.com are just a couple. There's more on our counseling website where you can find all the same information, and there really is no need to pay someone to help you out with that. The one to be especially aware of is if you are planning on applying for the FAFSA, making sure to go through the government website, fafsa.ed.gov, as opposed to fafsa.com, which will ask you for money to help you fill out the FAFSA. So that's all I have on paying for college, and now Mrs. Burton is going to talk about some general tips for college planning.
Okay, thank you. First, I want you to know that these tips are not just for the parents. These tips are also for kids. Kids need to understand there's some things that they can do to become actively involved in making decisions about their futures, and that's a huge, huge thing for them. We have to start out some recent information. I was just part of a program where we had a number of college reps talking to us and giving us suggestions in order to better help students and families make decisions. One of the things that came up is the fact that kids really need a goal. They need something that they're aiming for from 9th grade and 10th grade on, that their college planning doesn't magically start in 11th or 12th grade. That's something that really starts in middle school and that you can become more actively involved with once the kids get into the high school years, specifically into the 10th grade. Pay attention in 10th grade to the college fairs. The kids start high school, they're all eager, it's a great thing, they're in high school, it's a big deal. Come about 10th grade, they need to start understanding the impact of what they're doing and have some good reasons for their studies. The college fairs can help to provide those reasons. Talking to the reps and being involved with getting their own information about the colleges. We've got a form that we have in the back for you and also posted on our website that gives you questions and things to ask, information to gather in order to better compare one college to the other, so that you're able to make some real solid decisions about which colleges later you want to go to visit. We've got 2 college fairs coming up in the month of April if you would like to have your child and you go and see those. Again, there's flyers there, and that information will be out on our listserv and posted on our website for you to double check where things are and when. Another great thing is to help kids get more comfortable with the ACT. And this is something where parents are always saying, how do I help them do better on standardized tests? Like everything else in life, the more frequently you do it, the more comfortable you can become with it. It's just like a sport. You've got to practice. Great way to practice is to do some of the ACT preps. There's 2 free dates coming up for ACT and SAT preps. These are sponsored by Princeton Review. They're going to be at varied sites around the area, and again, I will put those sites out on the listserv for folks, and they'll be on our website, so you'll be able to get the sense of that and how to contact people to make those arrangements. Also, those flyers are available here too. The Princeton Review is going to sponsor a prep for the ACT, that's the American College Testing Company, on Saturday, May 8th from 9 to 1 o'clock. And again, there's a number of sites where that takes place. They're going to then sponsor one for the SAT. And the SAT is an entirely separate test that is used by other colleges. So it used to be called Scholastic Aptitude, no longer. That will be on Saturday, May 15th, again from 9 to 1 o'clock at the same sites as the ACT on the previous weekend. So your child can go in, take both tests, practice for free, and there'll be an interp evening then for both of them on May 22nd, or I'm sorry, interp day on May 22nd from 11 to 1 o'clock. You can go in, you'll get the scored tests, you'll be able to ask questions and get information about ways to improve your scores and ways to really focus on how do I approach these tests in a better way to have a higher score. And of course, a higher score plays into more scholarship opportunities, better opportunities, and opening the doors for colleges for which you might choose to apply. Many of the colleges base their honors programs, their honors colleges, on your ACT scores, not just your grade point average. So if you can get that score bumped up even just a few points, your child may qualify for an honors program that may not be available to them, or scholarships from universities that may not be available without just that little bit of bump of a few points. Other things for parents. Now, this is a big deal. I know how much parents and kids hate it when they nag each other. That can be a very uncomfortable situation in a household. And one of the things that comes from a professional who's written a number of books on the subject of helping your child prepare for college is a format so that you can have discussions in a contained atmosphere with an agreed upon time frame without feeling like it's a constant ongoing battle of who's doing what and when. They suggest this starts in the second semester of the junior year of high school. About 20 minutes a week, and you agree you're going to take a specific 20 minutes per week to sit down and talk about college. Just that encapsulated period of time. You don't talk about college at any other time. That's your time every week to discuss college with your child. They know that that's encapsulated time. They know you aren't going to be bugging them other times. You know they aren't going to be bugging you other times, and it tends to work really well. That would go on all the way through the senior year, where you've got your time frame set. Can be in the summer too. That's a good thing. Let's take a look at your essays that you were working on. How do they look? Maybe one of the topics of a discussion, but just for 20 minutes and just one a week, all the way through the senior year. So your child knows, you know, how you're going to be setting up this plan. It's a great way to do it. It takes a lot of stress out of it, and it's much more comfortable for families. As you're doing this, now I'm going to be I'm the hodgepodge at the end of the program person, so I'm going to add a few other things for you. If you were wondering, what about the ACT and the SAT for colleges? The ACT and the SAT are two tests that, although they are from different companies, are not that far apart anymore. Originally, they were quite different. They've become more similar in recent years. As such, some universities will take both tests, or other universities just want one or the other. Michigan schools all take an ACT, which the students will take as part of the Michigan Merit Exam that was just last week. They'll be taking that at no cost for one of their initial tests, or it may be the only time they have to take the test. So that's the Michigan test, and it's taken by most Midwestern schools. Some schools, and you have to check the university's websites, will take either an ACT or an SAT. An SAT, again, is a different test, college aptitude test, very similar. Check the websites and check the information for the school, and there's also a sheet for Princeton Review that gives you specifics as to which schools need which things. There's a comparison chart, and we do have access to that on our website for you. So pay attention to that. If it says they'll take either or, they will literally take either or. They don't care which one you send them. If ACT is better for you, you send them ACT, they'll take it. If SAT was better, send them SAT. They'll take it. They always take the higher scores from whichever test you opt to send. Do check, though, because some schools take only one test or the other, so make sure you do pay attention to that. If you have questions or concerns, go to the website, get hold of us. That's part of our job, is to make sure that we're helping guide you in the right ways and that we give you the information you need to make sure everything's in place for your child. A little bit about grade point averages for universities, and a great way to help kids understand better. We do this with all of the kids in our presentations for them, but to help them understand what grade point averages you need for different colleges and have them set a goal. Again, you can't know where you're going unless you've got some sense out there. Our kids can't be like little buoys bobbing around in the middle of an ocean with no sight of shore. They have to have something there that they're aiming for. Understanding grade point averages for colleges is one way to do that. For example, Central Michigan University, their average, not their lowest or highest, but their average accepted grade point average is a 3.3. That's a pretty reasonable grade point average for students. It's very doable for most of our kids. Michigan State University, their average is a 3.6. So it's something where, if you think about it, there is a difference there. If students are going to be applying to MSU, they need to take a serious look at how they've done academically. And again, this is an academic grade point average. Every college does their own thing with these. Another might be common here is University of Michigan. Their average GPA going in is a 3.8. So you can see there's a progression. There are schools throughout the state, however, who have varied grade point averages, and have different things available for students. So if your child has a 2.5, I guarantee there will be a university or a college that's a good spot for them to continue their education after high school. There are colleges in all ranges for all students. Another thing you need to know is that the colleges will recalculate grade point averages based on their own individual preferences. I'm not even going to try and explain what each one does because they all have their own thing. They all do it a little differently. The goal is for your child to do as well as they can, and another important thing is in the most rigorous courses they can take. Sometimes it's better if the parents aren't the ones giving them the information. You can refer them to us and we'll explain the process for them. But if you can take a rigorous course, take it. One of the big considerations for universities, and again, this comes straight from the college reps who do the evaluations, is rigor of the curriculum. If you are capable of handling tough academic courses and you take those academic courses, that is a big consideration in admissions and scholarships from the universities. So make sure that you're aware that you are doing the most rigorous program that's appropriate for your child, that they're taking that program that's best for them. Again, the colleges, some will weight grades, some won't. It depends on the school. The most important thing is for your child to be doing the most that they can. Their colleges also are going to be taking a look at a complete package, and we've talked about this before. They take a look at the whole person with the whole application, not just some little component. So if your child has done a great deal of community service, been very much involved in sports, had a job where they were working at it, they want to look at all of that. Their resume is important to the university. And as Mrs. Lindberg said, they should be building that resume, maybe keeping a calendar. It may be that you've got one calendar where you just jot the things that they're doing beyond schoolwork. That's great. Then when they go to build that resume during their junior year and in the summer before their senior year, they have something to look back over. It's not just trying to pluck that from thin air. Great thing to keep and help keep for your kids. That may be something you do. It may be something they do. They can use the career cruising program and record things for themselves also. I think I've pretty much said about enough here, so I'm going to end right now and go back to Mrs. Lindberg and she can wrap things up.
Okay. We just would like to thank you tonight for coming and attending and getting the information on college planning. Again, a lot of this is on our website. If you would like more information, you can sign up to see your counselor or email us if you have any other questions. And we'd like to thank our sponsors, Blazing Bagels, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Coffee Talk.
Coffee and snacks for tonight's audience were provided by Blazing Bagels. Stop by for a hot cup of freshly brewed coffee in your choice of flavors or grounds. Don't forget to grab one of their New York-style bagels or bagel sandwiches. Blazing Bagels, located on the corner of North Commerce and Wise Roads in Commerce.